Okay, we're learning for Lilu Nishmas, the Voira Abbas Avram Yeshua. That's the mother-in-law of our very dear Rabbi Avi. The yard site is tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, the Shemashev and Aliyah. Okay, we're neck deep in Dinei Mamonis and Dinei Nefashos. The Mishnah had made chilukim between the two, and we're up to Lamed Gimel Amid Aleph. Lamed Gimel Amid Aleph at the top. It's not an easy daf today. It's that Lamed Gimel Amid Aleph. It says that Ein Machzirin. It says Bedinei Mamonis, you don't go ahead. By Dinei Mamonis, if you make a mistake, the Dayanim, they go ahead and they're Machzer, Bein L'schus, Bein L'chova. Whereas Dinei Nefashos, Im L'chova, you're not Machzer. Okay, so again, again, once the din is paskin by Dinei Mamonis, it's not a final, it could change. Mashenkin by Dinei Nefashos, if it's L'chova, it could change. But if it's L'schus, it can't change. Uriminu, I'll ask you a stira. Our Mishnah guy says machzirin. I'll ask you a stira. Don es hadin, zik es a chayiv. You find somebody chayiv to be meritorious. Chayiv es a zakai, or you find someone who is chayiv, you find him meritorious. Timi es a tahar, you make something that is tahar tameh. Tir es a tameh, you make something that's tameh tahar. Masha asu. Whatever you did, again, this is Dinei Mammon. Israel is obviously, right? Sika Esachayev, this is not speaking about what? Dinei Nefashos. This is Dinei Mammonis. Masha Asa Asoi, V'yashalem Yibesai. Whatever you did is done. You know, let's make that, therefore, you're not returning the din. Masha Asa Asoi, meaning the din is done. V'yashalem Yibesai, and the dying would have to pay from his house. This is a Mishnah in Bechayris. So we have a direct stira regarding Dinei Mamonis from our Mishnah to the Mishnah Bechayris. Let's get this clear because this is the whole first Lamed. Our Mishnah says in Dinei Mamonis, right, you're machzer. If you blow it, you're machzer. Whether it's l'toiva or l'chayva, you're going to go ahead and return the din. Over here, it's mashma. If you blow it, and that's it. There's no going back. That's the Mishnah in Bechayris. Once you're blown. Ein machzirin. Masha asu, what's done is done. How do you go ahead and reconcile the stira from our Mishnah to the Mishnah in Bechayris that says that it's done, to our Mishnah that says machzer? You can have a few terutzim. Rabbi Yosef, says Rabbi Yosef, loy kasha, kan. Our Mishnah is speaking b'mumcha. Our Mishnah is speaking b'mumcha, since it's a mumcha, he has a koyach tvi chayzer at the din. The Baldin can't say, oh, I like your first psak, I don't want to go with your second psak. He can't say that because since he's a mumcha, he's a mumcha. Meaning the Baldin does not have a say in this matter by saying, well, I like your first psak. The Mela, if he feels it's warranted, machzer, you're going to go ahead and return because he's a mumcha. Kan, the Mishnah in Bechayris, we say masha asa asoi b'shein mumcha. It's speaking where he's not a mumcha. So if he's not a mumcha, the Baldin who was found meritorious could say, I like this psak. I don't find machzer that I should be chayiv. So therefore, that's the difference. Our Mishnah is a mumcha, therefore machzir. Over there, it's not a mumcha, and therefore whatever that you did, you did. That's the first teretz. The Gemara comments on that. Uve mumcha machzirin. By mumcha, there's going back. As you're learning in our Mishnah about a mumcha, you go back. Vaktani im haya mumcha lebezdin pata milashalem. Right? Mumcha lebezdin is pata from paying. Mashma, you don't go back. Mashma, you don't go back. In other words, patam mishalim is mashma. The din is the din, and you're off the hook. Machzir would mean redo it. You're telling me that he's patam from paying. It's mashma that what? That it's done. You told me mumcha is machzir. Here it's mashma. Mumcha is what? Is masha asa asoi. On Rav Nachman, kan our Mishnah sheyesh godly menu b'chachma. Our Mishnah, since there's someone bigger who can override him, therefore it's going back. Unkan and the Mishnah Bechayrish she'en godly menu b'chachma u'b'minyan. And there's what? There's no one bigger. So we have two terutzim. Well, our Mishnah is speaking about a mumcha, not a mumcha, or our Mishnah is speaking about a mumcha, he's not the biggest mumcha. Therefore, someone can override him. And the Mishnah there, it could be speaking about a mumcha, but what? Somebody can't override him. And therefore, the din is done. Rosh Hashanah, third teretz, kan shetabed var Mishnah. Our Mishnah is speaking where he blew it in something that is an off in a Mishnah. If something is an off in a Mishnah, it's an open Mishnah, then his din is not a din. In other words, if you don't need a dayan to tell you that 2 plus 2 is 4. If a dayan blows it and 2 plus 2 is 4, that's nishkaink psak. So our Mishnah says that machzirin is because there never was a psak in the first place. It's like a bit of an anomaly. Machzir means you go back. There's no really going back because, really the word should be there never was. There never was because you were Torah b'dama Mishnah, so there never was. Kan the Mishnah b'chayris shetal b'shikol adas. And we'll see what we saw shikol adas earlier, and we're going to go ahead and revisit it. So where it's a Torah b'dama Mishnah, it's something that's obviously he should have known that was open. Therefore, you go back because it's not a psak. But where is Torah b'dama Mishnah, then it's done. What is Torah b'shikol adas? Then it's done. So that's another way. The first teretz to answer the stira in our Mishnah to the Mishnah in the Chayris is our Mishnah is a mumcha. There it's not a mumcha. The second place, they're both speaking about mumcha, but ours, the Mishnah, there's someone bigger. The Mishnah in Bechayris, there's no one bigger. Now we're giving another way to go ahead. What it's speaking where he was Torah b'dvar Mishnah, and that's where you go back. And the Mishnah in Bechayris is Torah b'shikol adas. Dom Rav Sheshes Amarav Asi Torah b'dvar Mishnah Chayzer. Torah b'shikol adas ain't a Chayzer. Now you're telling me that Torah b'shikol adas is a decision that's made between dayanim, that's made between Amoraim, Tanoim, and your Torah. So he wants to know what exactly is this. If he makes a mistake in our dialogue, Amalayin, afilu b'derav u'shmuel, Amalayin, afilu b'didi v'didach, even me and you. So Sheshes says to Ravasi, even you, Amalei. So Ravasi told Rav Sheshes, "Anan katli kani ba'agma tanan." Are we people who go ahead and cut reeds in the agman? In other words, what do we chop liver? What do we slice bread? Come on. So if they make a mistake in us, it's shikol adas. Heichidam shikol adas. Rav Papa going trey tanoi. Trey amoroi, the pligi adadi, we don't come to a conclusion. However, it's noita a little bit to the side of one of them. However, v'sugi d'shmaitza azal ke'idach. Hainu shikol adas. So shikol adas is where there's no hachlata, there's no decision. However, the winds of learning seem to be going ahead in the direction of one, and you go the other way. So that's Torah b'shikol adas. So let's just chaz riba what we had so far. Our Mishnah says if you Torah b'devar, when it comes to dinei maminis, you go back, whether l'chayv or not, or whether it's l'schus or not, you go back. The Mishnah in Bechayr says whatever you did, you did. So l'chayv you don't go back. How do you answer the stira from Mishnah Bechayr? The first teretz was what? Our Mishnah speaking about a mumcha, and the Mishnah there in the Bechayr is speaking about a non-mumcha, right? Another opinion, they're both speaking about a mumcha. However, ours is speaking where there's no one bigger than him. And the Mishnah there is speaking there's somebody, our Mishnah speaking there is somebody bigger, and therefore he can go back because he can override you. And then the Mishnah over there's no one bigger who made the mistake. And for Shesh's teretz, it's not describing the dayan, it's describing the mistake that was made. According to our Mishnah, you can go back with Torah b'dvar Mishnah, something that's open. According to the one you don't go backwards, Torah b'shikol adas. Esivei Rav Hamnun Rav Sheshes. Now he's speaking about shikol adas. Ma'isa b'para. There was a ma'isa with a para. Shenitla ha'em shalah, that it was missing its womb. Its womb was taken out. Its uterus was taken out. Ve'achila Reb Tarfon l'klavim. Reb Tarfon paskin that it's a treifa, and as a result of being a treifa, what did he do? He went ahead and he fed it to the dogs. Ubo ma'isel fnei chachamim. And they said it's mutter to eat. They paskin that it's mutter to eat. Mifnei she'amar to this harayfe, to this the vet said ein para v'chazira yitzas melchzan sheyasham mitzrayim elam kein chaytcha ha'em shalah. It seems that the cows and pigs in Mitzrayim were outstanding in their quality. So to keep that standard and not to go ahead and transport it, they would sell it to other people, but they would first ensure that it could not go ahead and reproduce by taking out the uterus. And obviously then people are eating it, like Kadesh Leitele. So you see that what? It wouldn't die, fellas. And that's what the reason a treifa is treifa, because it's not going to live more than 12 months. We see over here that what it would live. So l'chayra, what do you see? That he blew it. Rav Tarfon blew it, right? Because he said that what? It's a treifa. Rav Tarfon, holcha chamarcha Tarfon. Rav Tarfon said goodbye to his donkey, meaning he was going to have to pay up the person that he paskin on the cat and that he fed the part to the dogs. It's going to cost him his donkey, right? Or maybe a lion, maybe a Detroit lion, right? So Amar Loi, Rabbi Kiva said, Potata, Rav Tarfon, you don't have to pay. Why? Shekola mumcha lebezdin. Change the gersa. Shekola mumcha lebezdin patim l'shalem. And you're a mumcha lebezdin. V'im isa, here's the kasha. V'im isa, if you're saying Torah of our Mishnah, is what is what is no din. Im isa leimale Torah of our Mishnah ata. The Torah of our Mishnah chayzer. In other words, your psak's not a psak. And there's a Mishnah that says that an animal that's missing its womb is kosher. It's kosher. So why did Rabbi Akiva tell him your patur is al smumcha? If you just told me Torah b'dvar Mishnah is not a psak, you Rav Tarfon was just Torah b'dvar Mishnah. From the Maisa of Rav Tarfon, we want to ascertain that Torah b'dvar Mishnah is chayev. Not that it's not a psak. Not that it's not a psak. Because you Rav Tarfon, Rabbi Akiva didn't say you Rav Tarfon or Torah b'dvar Mishnah, which he could have. Why didn't he say that? Because obviously Torah b'dvar Mishnah, you wouldn't be chayzer. You wouldn't be chayzer. But he wanted to go ahead and say you don't have to pay. So what did he tell him? You're a mumcha lebesdin, a mumcha lebesdin pata. So obviously the question is Torah b'dvar Mishnah. You see is why it is not chayzer. Says the Gemara. Chadav oid katani. No, it's not true. One more. Ka'amar. He said, Rabbi Akiva said two things. One and one more. Chada the Torah b'dvar Mishnah. First of all, you were Torah b'dvar Mishnah saying that an animal that doesn't have a womb is a treifa. It's a mefurish Mishnah in Chulin that it's not a treifa. So since you were Torah in that, your psak was not a psak, and don't worry about it. You're off the hook. That's what we wanted to know. And in addition, right? V'oid inami b'shikol adas to'isa, and if you were Torah in shikol adas, and therefore you should have to pay. Mumcha lebezdin ata, you're a mumcha lebezdin. V'chol mumcha lebezdin pata milashalem, and anyone who's pata mumcha lebezdin is pata for paying. Okay. Amar of Nachman by Yitzchak l'Rava. My kamoisiv Rav Hamnuna l'Rav Sheshes mi para. So what did he want to say, fellas? That you paskin on para, and therefore Torah b'dvar Mishnah is chayzer, should be chayzer. 1 second, what would that mean? That would mean you would have to go ahead and give back the para. Para hariachil klavim v'leset hadar. It's not possible to go ahead and go back. After all, there is no more para. It was fed. Says Mahachkamalei. Iyan b'shleim Torah b'dvar Mishnah eina chayzer alma komdina hainu to come after Rav Tarfon. Bishleim, if he said that Torah b'dvar Mishnah eina chayzer, and therefore he's going to have to pay, therefore Rav Tarfon was worried. And therefore Rabbi Akiva reassured him that what? Your Torah b'dvar Mishnah, even if Torah b'dvar Mishnah is what? Is you have to pay. You don't have to pay because you're mumcha l'rabim. I'm a Torah b'dvar Mishnah. Chayzer, if you can tell me Torah b'dvar Mishnah would go back, leimalei, kiven d'ilu havi para dinach. Lavdina, since the para that you paskin is not a din, v'lei klum avadet, and you did nothing, hashtanami lei klum avadet. Even though it's not here, it doesn't make a difference. If it's not a psak, it's not a psak. We don't care if it's here or not. But that's the shot. Don't think chayzer they have to return what you. If the din is that your psak is a psak is a chayzer, then even if it's not here chayzer, that's the din. Rav Chisda gives another teretz to astira. Again, what's astira? Astira is our Mishnah says that chayzer. And the Mishnah in Bechayra says, whatever you did, it's done. No chayzer. Kan shenata v'nasam biyad. The Mishnah in Bechayra is speaking where you physically went and did it. In other words, You were mechayiv the guy. You went ahead, took the money, and you gave it to him incorrectly. So then masha asu, you're going to have to pay. You went ahead, you took a guy who was potter, you took his money, and you gave it away. Physically, you went ahead and gave it over. Therefore, masha asu, what you did, and you're going to have to pay. Kan Mishnah shaloi not of an asam biyad. Our Mishnah what is speaking where you didn't do it. Our Mishnah is speaking what where you didn't do it. Correct? Okay, now bishlema chayev at hazakai. Bishlema when a person was meritorious and you were chayev to him kigoyin shenot of an asam biyad. It's possible. Well, he shouldn't have been given anything, and you took it and you gave. Elazika as a chayev, if a person's chayev to pay, and you say you're not chayev to pay, heichi mishkachasla. Guys, the Mishnah in Bechoros is going both ways, right? It's going where you took money from a guy who's potter, and you gave it to a guy who's versus the guy who really should be giving, and you're not giving, right? You're chayev, so what are you telling the guy who's chayev? You're potter. So why did you give? And yet you're telling me, Masha Asa Asui. Again, guys, remember, two cases, and in each case, the psak's going to be what you did, and we're saying those cases are speaking where you physically went and transferred it from the litigant to the other guy. So let's say, this guy's really potter. You said Yechayev. So what did you do? You took the money from a guy who shouldn't be giving, and you gave it over to a guy. That makes sense. Now, what about the converse? A person who should be giving, he's chayiv, and you let him off the hook. Then what are you giving? You're not giving anything. Yet it says in that case, masha asu asui. That's the problem. Good. And for the Gemara, the amalei pata ata, you say you pata, I v'haloi natal v'nasam biyad. So why can't the dayan be chayzer? Guys, you said masha asu asui, but you didn't do anything. It was merely words where you let him off the hook. You should therefore be chayzer, and the din is masha asa asoi. That's the problem. And for the Gemara, kivin the ama pater ata, since the guy should pay, and you say you pater from paying, kimo shenato v'nasan biyadami. It's as if you took it away from the guy who should be getting it and doesn't get it. This guy's chayiv to pay. You're telling him you're pater from paying. So basically, you're taking it away from what? The guy who's chayiv to get it. That's what masha asa asoi. The one who should be getting it's not getting it. Therefore, now we have a problem. If we're going to view that case where the guy who's supposed to be getting it is not getting it as something as you physically gave over, then now going to our Mishnah, we have a problem. Elamas Nisan, our Mishnah where you say the din is chayzer, diktani dine moment is machzirin bein l'schus bein l'chayva. Bishlema l'schus, very good l'schus, mishkachas l'adolei meikara chayevata. Initially said yechayev, v'lei natav v'lei nasan biyad, and he didn't take anything from him. And therefore, since he didn't take anything from him, the din is chayzer. Ela l'chayva, hechi mishkachas la. What would the case of chayva be? The amalei paterata. In other words, this is a case where you should be chayev, and you pater him. And why did you tell me? That's equal to giving him something. But you said, guys, you said our Mishnah is speaking where you didn't give something. But al karchach, if it's speaking where the guy is chayiv to give and doesn't give, and you're saying when you're chayiv to give, it's considered an act of giving, then in our Mishnah, which you said there was no act of giving, there is an act of giving. Telling the guy who's supposed to give something, you didn't give it. And our Mishnah is saying that what chayzer. But the same din in the Mishnah in Bechoros is saying masha asui asui. When you, again, this guy you should give, but you're not. Oh, you should give, you're not. So therefore what? And our Mishnah machzirin, and that Mishnah masha asui asui, it's shver. And for the Gemara, question mark. And for the Gemara, learn in our Mishnah one case. Dine mominis machzirin l'schus shehi chayva. Dine mominis machzirin, you are machzer l'schus shehi chayva. It's one case. Let's see the way Rashi learns, guys. 3 lines bottom. Umeshani chada katani. The la'olam l'chayva ein machzirin. Ein achinami. If you find the guy you tell him he's what? He's guilty and he's not. Ein machzirin. Me'acha shezikeyu. After you mizaka him, he really was chayiv, and you mizaka him, ein machzirin, you're not going to turn over the din. Ella mishalem mibeisai. In other words, you're going to pay. Umasnisan chadikatani. Machzirin hadavel eschusay shel zeh. You machzor the matter to the schus of this one. Im chayvuhu techila. If you chayiv him initially. V'lei nasu v'nasu biyad. Machzirin eschusay shu chayvasa shel chaveroi. Shemechayvin oisay lahachzir mashagava. I'm really not exactly sure what I'm saying. Went over this a few times. I mean, in generally, I know what it's saying, but to be very, very exact, I'm not exactly sure. The question is, in our Mishnah, we're going to have a case of where you gave over something. Where's that case? Where the guy was chayiv and you let him off the hook. So that act that he should be giving over to somebody is considered as if what you took it away from the guy who should get it, and he's not getting it. So the Gemara is answering Chad the Katani. Our Mishnah is speaking about one case. When our case, in our Mishnah, when it says Bein l'schus, Bein l'chayva, it's only one case. It's, in other words, mechanically, guys, we thought it's two cases. It's not two cases. It's one case. What's the one case? If he makes a mistake and he's chayiv a person, right, to return something, right, which is, in other words, this guy he's mechuyev to give something, and he's mizaka him, and he doesn't give. In that case, it's shaloi no. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go over this again. I don't have a clarity over here, but let's go weiter. Okay, so now you're telling me that it's one case where machzirin l'schus chayva. What would the case be by dinei nefashis? Machzirin l'schus, vein machzirin l'chayva. The case of dinei nefashis is also you're only the din that you don't go back is when you mechayev a person l'chayiv, where it's not chayiv to somebody else. Machzirin l'schus, schus greidasa, vein machzirin l'chayva l'schus shehi chayva. Now, you'd only return, let's say the guy, it's not detrimental for somebody, but if it's detrimental for somebody, then you wouldn't go back. Fred Gemara, who is it a chayiv if you let a guy off the hook by dinei nefashis? In other words, you're telling me this din by dinei mominus, the corollary by dinei nefashis would be we're letting a guy off the hook at the expense of somebody else. If you let a guy off the hook, whose expense are you letting go off the hook? It says Mahalei Kasha. In other words, when it's a chayv to the goyal adam, we won't let you off the hook. Right? The Gemara mishum chavasa the goyal adam katlin lahai. You're only letting me off the hook where it's not a chayv to somebody else. Where it is a chayv to somebody else, you won't let me off the hook. So what? I won't let me off the hook because it's a chayv to the goyal adam. V'oid my bain guys. Bain means not one case; it means two cases. You're telling me it means one case of chista. According to you, there's only one case? No, there's really two cases, or there should be. And that more says kasha. You know what? You want to know the case where he was chayev and he let him off the hook. Sheyesh le biyodei mashkin, but not lemimenu. He had a mashkin and he took it away from him. So he went ahead. He took from one and gave to the other. This person was holding the mashkin. The person who's holding the mashkin rightfully was holding on to something, and he acted upon it. So you wanted to know what you want to know what he did when he did something. You know what he did? He took the mashkin incorrectly took the mashkin and gave it to the other person. And what about Tameh v'Tahar? What did he do over there? He shouldn't have. What did he do? The agi sheretz, something that was tahar. He went ahead and put a sheretz to make it tameh. And Timiyas Atame, what did he do? She'irvim ba peirosav. He took something that's tahar and he mixed it in with peiris that atame, and therefore he did something. And those are the cases where he took something that was off the hook and he put it on the hook. So dinin nefashos, that once you go out of Bezdin, you're victorious. You don't go back. Once you come out of Bezdin and you're victorious, and then they change. Well, there's a schus or a chayiv. You're not going to go back. That's it. Tan Rabbanan. Nasim with that Lamed Gimel Lamed Beis about 10 lines down. Tan Rabbanan. Minayin li yoytze mi Bezdin chayiv. V'omar echad yeshli l'limit olav schus. How do you know? Guy walks out of Bezdin, they're going to kill him. And on the way to the Makam HaMisa, somebody says, 1 second. Well, let's say it's in court even. Someone says, I can be ma'am l'schus. Minayin shemachzirnu. So how do you know you bring it back? We do it. Tamad Leimar. Naki al taroig. Naki. If a person's naki mechet, Rashi says. If a person's naki mechet, al taroig. Uminayin liyoysim bezdin zakai v'ama echad yeshli lamed alav chayva minayin shem machzirnu. I say. And how do you know if a person walks out of bezdin zakai, and one person says there's a chayv? In other words, he walk out, he's guiltless. And now one say, "Whoa, not so fast, right?" Nah. No. How do you know that? What? That you don't bring him back? So it said, pasuk says, "Sadik al taroig." So really, Bamis, guys, it's one pasuk. It's one pasuk. The pasuk says, "Midvasheka tirchak v'naki v'tzadik al taroig kilei atzdik rasha." So we're learning v'naki al taroig v'tzadik al taroig. We're saying the al taroig is going back on naki. A person's naki from chait, and al taroig is going back on tzedek. Once that what it's matzik and din, even though later that you found out the other way, no going back. Naki, you're not naki mechet, then we're going to go back. Okay, so those are two possibilities. The same. So we're dashing a few words to learn out two separate halachas. Amrav Sima Rashi v'chilufa b'mesis. By a mesis, there's no go. Mesis, guys. If you're passing these a mesis and the guy wants to be malamed a schus, we're not malamed a schus on a mesis. It says don't have rachmanas on him. A mesis, a person who incites another person doing aveira, in particular, it's discussing avodah zara, right? You don't go back. You see that from the Nachash Kadmoni guys. Kadosh Baruch Hu, he was a mesis. Kadosh Baruch Hu was not malamed a schus on him. He bombed him out. Does the Gemara? Rav Kana Masni. Mechi horoik tehargenu. The pasuk says by a mesis, it says ki horoik tehargenu yotcha tia baba rishayna la misay v'yad kalom b'achroina. The Edom should be the first one to get him, and the double lashon of what of Yaher, the double lashon of horoik tehargenu. It says in the pasuk by the mesis is that what we look for ways to kill him and not for ways to get him off the hook. The double lashon of Hari Targenu, we look for ways to kill him and not ways to get him off the hook. Boy miner of Zeirim of Sheshes. Chayve Golis Mai. What about Chayve Golis? If a person's Chayve Golis of Imlam Nischus, says the word absolutely. Asya Roit Seyach, Roit Seyach. It says you must have Roit Seyach. That's by murder, and it says by Chavi Golas, Lot Nanu Shama Reitseach. So just like by a regular din in Nefashas Reitseach when Malam is Chus, because it says Naki al Taroig, so too where it says Lonu Shama Reitseach, we'll look Mischus for a person's killed b'mei Shogeg. Chayve Malchus Mai. What about Chayve Malchus? Or Malam is Chus? Asya Rasha. It says by din in Nefashas Asher Rasha Lamos. It says by din by Malchus and Chayiv Ben Hakas HaRasha. So just like Din in Nefashos says Russia when Malam Schus, even when he's found Chayiv, who did Malchus when Malam Schus, even though he's found Chayiv. Tanya Nami Hachi, Chayiv Golos Minayin, Asher Retzeach Retzeach, Chayiv Malchus Minayin, Asher Russia. They Machzirim L'Chayva, right? Let's say what you find him guiltless, you find him innocent, and then somebody says 1 second, then finds 1 second, guy wants to be Malamed a Chayiv. How do you know you don't bring him back? Amrav Kiyah Barba, Amrav Yechanan. The thing that he makes a mistake in can't be something that the tzedaikim, it has to be something that tzedaikim won't make a mistake in. If he makes a mistake in something that's so obvious, then we will go ahead and bring him back. It's a mistake that, it has to be a mistake that tzedaikim won't be masking to. In other words, let's say he blows him a four pasuk in the Torah, then we're going to return him, even the chayva. It has to be a Torah shebal peh, that the tzedaikim do not go ahead and darshan, that we don't bring him back. But if it's something that tzedaikim makes a mistake, this is Kari Beirav, it's not a psak then, guys. In other words, Einachinami, fellas, guys, here's the lumdis. If there's a psak, there's no going back. If there's a psak, if it's a matter of that Sudoikim, right, that's Haitian kind of psak. You're not being chayzer on anything. There never was a psak then. It's something that's so obvious that the Sudoikim are moided to this. That's not considered a psak. So Mameli, you're not bringing the guy back to go ahead and be mechayiv him. You will never mechayiv him. You never let him off in the first place. Whatever you said doesn't count. So what's the shaila? The shaila is Rashi, Zika mehen. Mi amina mahadrina le'lechayva. Do we go ahead and bring him back l'chayva? Now, what would the difference between murder and immorality be? The bishleim b'reit seach ikal limiti b'mili tuva. I'll give you a smorgasbord of things you can make a mistake in. The loy mefarshe behedya kegain ba'omer even shahargu ba l'haya ba kadei misa. The weapon that you used, it didn't. Guys, you had a pebble, and you hit the guy with the pebble. Does it have the koyach to kill or not? In other words, yesh alma lismoich, maybe not. There's something to discuss there. In order to be chayiv a guy for murder, the weapon has to be what? A weapon capable. This has all to do with Torah Shebal Peh. Let's say the one who gave him hasra was the one who was killed. Let's say the murderee, the nirtzach, the one who was killed, he gave him hasra. Now this is already a lumdis. In order to die capital punishment, you need to give hasra. Who has to give the hasra? Other people, or even the one who's being killed can give the hasra. So you see, when it comes to dinei nefashos, when it comes to murder, there are questionable things that want to bring him back, and that we don't. You killed the guy, and you didn't have to kill him. You could have gone ahead and wounded him, right? So the shaila is did you have right to kill him? Again, 3 instances of shilas in murder where you'd say the tzedaikim would be moided to that because it's Torah Shebal Peh, and therefore, if you have a choiv, you don't bring the guy back if you're paskin that he's innocent. Avol b'noyef b'noyefes, when it comes to immorality, leka tusal is chusa. Where's the toss of schus? Where's the toss that you're going to bring him back? Good, that's what the Gemara wants to know. So says the Gemara, Boy Mira Mechia, Barabba, Rabbi Yochanan, Ta b'noy from the Efes Mahu, Amalei, so he tells him the famous words, At the Mukdach Yokid, Zil Koitz Korchavitzli. While your fire is burning, go cut a gourd and roast it. Says Rashi. Get the melon when it's hot. But solo say, Kloimar, when you're too busy with the sugya, tain lave, go ahead and immerse yourself. Lehavin lahoisif lakach harishamata mimeni ta bedava shetzdakim maidenba chayzer ba'idava shetzdakim maidenbahu. In other words, it's obvious that when it comes to niyuf, there is no chayri, no Torah Shebal Peh. It's black and white. That you're involved, and if you blow it, you say this is not an avera, then the psak, you bring the guy back. Why? Because this is something that tzedaikim would be made in. So therefore, there never was a psak. So there never was a psak when it comes to Neif Efes. That's what he said. Amar Rabbi Rav Yochanan, Amar Rabbi Anami, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Ta b'noyev chayzer. You know why you bring him back? Because this is something that tzedaikim would be moiden. El lehechi dami ein chayzrin. Amar Rabbi Rabbi Yochanan going shetor shaloi kedarka. A bia shaloi kedarka is learned out from, it says mishkevei isha. Mishkevei, guys, is a double lashon, tuznos. One kedarka and one shaloi kedarka. So that tzedaikim would not be moided to this. So if the actor's nus was a bia shaloi kedarka, and you paskin to get the guy off the hook, you don't bring him back for this. According to Rashi, the Rambam and others disagree with Rashi's psak, but this is the psak of Rashi. Okay, I owe you. I have to get back to that pshat. I thought I understood it. There's Hashem. I will get back to you.